One.
A very warm good evening to one and all. So, today on this beautiful evening, we have reached the fourth day of Itihasa Saptaha 2.0, 7 days virtual international colloquium as symbolic to the second anniversary of the history enthusiasts. And I warmly welcome uh, today's honorable resource person, Dr. Amita Gupta ma'am. She is going to talk on the forgotten metal technology of the Himalayas. She is assistant professor, Department of History, School of Social Sciences and Languages, lovely professional university, Punjab. It's a great privilege to have you on the History Enthusiast platform, ma'am. We warmly welcome you. And thank you so much for accepting our invitation. And I also welcome all the audience who are joining us through this fourth day lecture. Keep supporting us and be active throughout this lecture. And I also welcome co-host of this session, Miss Manali Momaya. And I now request Miss Manali Momaya to introduce our today's resource person, Dr. Amita Gupta ma'am.
Thank you for the warm welcome, Nidhi. It is an honor to introduce Dr. Amita Guota. Madam is assistant professor currently at Lovely Professional University, Punjab. She is a research scholar with a demonstrated history of working in the higher education industry. She is skilled in lecturing, cultural heritage, editing, conference speaking, and curriculum development. She is a strong research professional with a research focused in the studies of Himalayan ancient metallurgy. Madam completed her schooling and intermediate from Uttar Pradesh, Mohammadi in Uttar Pradesh. She completed her graduation from MJP Rohilkhand University and her post graduation in ancient Indian history and archaeology from the University of Lucknow. She also did her diploma in archaeology and museology from the University of Lucknow. She cleared her UGC net in 2013 in the subject of archaeology, and she also completed her post graduation in history from Kanpur University in 2020. Ma'am's PhD topic was an archaeometallurgical study in Garhwal, Himalaya, Uttarakhand, from Garhwal University. She has also presented and published papers in several national international seminars and conferences and reputed journals, and also participated in numerous workshops on archaeology and history. Ma'am is a life member of Society of South Asian Archaeology, Indian Archaeological Society, Indian Society of Prehistoric and Quaternary Studies, the Historical Metallurgical Society, Research Deliberation, Madhya Pradesh, India, International Council of Museum, India, Dialogue to the Past Society, Germany, and Society of American Archaeology, USA. Madam has conducted many video lectures, online classes, examinations, project works. She has also been content writer for INCUS, which includes online coaching classes, and she has also received many awards and accolades for her work, including the Namrata Joshi Gold Medal for Young Archaeological and Best Presentation Award from Indian Archaeological Society, the Swiss Government Excellence Scholarship from the Swiss federal government, and foreign travel grant from ICHR and INAE. Ma'am, it is a wonderful and inspiring biodata, and we really hope to tread on your path. We are very happy to have you on our platform today, and I am thankful for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Minali and Nidhi, for this warm welcome. And I would like to just update you here. Like these days, I'm also working as a Deputy Chief Executive at Asiatic Society of Social Sciences and Research. And under this, there is two branches. There are many more branches, but I'm working as Deputy Chief Executive as from Center for History and Archaeology. So thank you so much. Thank you. I think we should start the lecture now.
Yes, ma'am. I request you to begin the lecture.
Yeah, thank you so much. So I'm just going to share my screen. I'll just take a couple of seconds. Few. I hope it is quite visible.
Yes, ma'am. It's visible.
So, good evening, all, and namaste. Thank you, Manali, and thank you, Nidhi, for this invitation. And this is really my privilege to talk about forgotten metal technology on this Itihasa Sampada platform. And this lecture might be going to be much informative for you all. So let's start on the topic, the forgotten metal technology of the Himalaya. And particularly when we are looking into the Himalaya, then we are considering many more areas. But today I'm going to talk about only Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, and Uttarakhand. There are many more extensive technology were emerged in the past times, but today we will discuss only about the copper and a few of the iron technologies of Jammu and Kashmir, Himalaya. So, particularly when you are looking into this Himalayan area, then you are finding that Jammu and Kashmir and Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand, that was not particularly counted as a center for metallurgy in the past time. And within this area, like within Jammu and Kashmir, when we are looking into the Baramulla district, or in Himachal Pradesh only we are looking into the Kinnaur district, or Uttarakhand like the Chamoli district. Like, I'm not going to discuss about all over districts of these areas, but the major centers where the advanced metallurgy was developed in the ancient time, which was never considered as a center metallurgy in Himalaya. So when you are looking into Jammu and Kashmir area, then there are that element you can see, particularly the copper metallurgy and the iron metallurgy. But when you are looking into copper, now the question is this: there are many more metals like copper, like iron, like gold. So within the copper, there are many more alloying techniques, which is particularly known as bronze, which is particularly known as the antimonial bronze, or the arsenical bronze, or you can see like lead bronze, or the brass. Brass is particularly known in India, like the zinc-based metallurgy, which you already known. So when you are looking into the iron, then within the iron you have the iron and the steel technology. And as you know, India was very famous from the time of the Guptas, and we have the extensive iron metallurgy. So when you are looking into the world of metallurgy, when you are considering this metallurgy, then what is particularly this? So this is the word which is particularly scientifically showing a process of working into the metal into the artifacts. The artifacts can be in the form of toys, artifacts can be in the form of tools. And although the small amounts of metal are found in relatively pure form, and most of must be extracted from the more complexes of the ores by removing the impurities, because you cannot find the raw metal in the pure form. There are other impurities as well. And when you are going to the procedure of smelting, then only then you are getting this pure metal. So the impurities can be in the form of non-metal or the other metal particles in this particularly raw or sample, and from the combination of the ore. So such type of things, these are just the introductory to understand particularly about about what type of metallurgy can be happen in the field of copper, or can be in the happen in the field of iron in India. So when you are looking into Jammu and Kashmir area, Jammu and Kashmir area was never been known as particularly the center of metallurgy, but the northern India particularly played a very important role in understanding the advent of iron in India. I'm not looking into particularly the Neolithic sites and the Chalcolithic controversies and the debates, but particularly the recent research which was done by Muhammad Yatu. He discovered many more sites in particularly this Jammu and Kashmir area, and particularly in the Baramulla district of Jammu and Kashmir area. So at the same time, the research on the metal assemblages and the production sites in Jhelum Valley, because Jhelum Valley here played an important role for discovering particularly the metallurgical site. So this Valley in this Jammu and Kashmir area is very famous and very important center in Baramulla district. And however, the recent research in iron metallurgy will revise the advent of iron that claim to the earliest smelting sites in Jhelum Valley, and that will be particularly potential to match as a key place for analyzing the patterns of iron adoption due to its wealth of metallurgical remains. And in northern India, particularly as I showed you in the map, this northern Indian area is played very important role, and this was an important land in the early historic India, and in early historic metallurgy as well. But very few archaeological work have been done, and in this region, and further archaeological work in this region, particularly surveys or surveys particularly in the ore bearing zone, which is where the mines are located, may resolve the lingering questions that is coming into our mind, like if in Himalaya the metallurgy was happened, then which is particularly the site, and which mine was extracted or exploited at that time for this metallurgical activity. So these questions about the origin of extractive iron metallurgy in Kashmir, because we are just focusing in this time in the Kashmir area in Jhelum Valley. So in aggregate, these avenues for future research that promises to provide coherent pictures of a technology that ultimately had a transformative impact across India, because these were particularly the centers for the trade not only in India but also sending these artifacts to outer region of India. So at its heart, the study of iron innovation is on the one hand, an investigation of the geological, environmental, and thermodynamic knowledge, and on the other hand, a study of the social as well as culture, as well as the political factors that affected the spread of that knowledge or the Indian knowledge system. So, iron therefore offers an excellent perspective on how people navigate about the complex interplays between the natural and the social worlds. So you can see in this map the newly slag and only sites that is showing the slag and Tuyere site in context with the key iron artifacts and the slag sites that is reported in Kashmir area. So this map particularly presented by Mr. Yatu in his paper and in his thesis as well, and he reflected particularly the key iron artifact site in this green areas, and the brown area that is showing the new discovery of iron slag in this area. So particularly Kashmir, that in this particularly in this photo you can see the extensive amount of iron slag in the site. And even you can see particularly the tear fragment here as well. I will show you in the further slide. So Kashmir was very famous for its mineral deposit, particularly the mines, and archaeometallurgical evidences has been uncovered in Kashmir that demonstrate the local markets for the consumption of metal. Because if you are producing some metal, then there should be a market for the consumption of these type of metals. And iron, slag, and Tuyere that was discovered at particularly the 9 locations which I showed you in the previous slide, in Jhelum Valley, that is particularly only showing that contain the slag and Tuyere deposit. But within these 9 sites, only 4 sites are having such type of slag and Tuyere. So no other material culture that was discovered in this entire zone. This was particularly the report that was published by Mr. Yatu in 2015. And particularly when we are looking into the other early researches that was done by Agrawal or the Kharakwal in 2003, that they were concluded from their substantial research in these places, and they are showing that Neolithic culture is directly succeeded by the megalithic phase. But when you are looking into the prehistory of India, then you can see particularly the timeline which is showing the Neolithic, then Chalcolithic, then Megalithic. So then particularly the Bronze Age, then Megalithic. So such type of changes you can see in Kashmir area. I'm not saying like this is particularly the actual remains, might be in future research. You can see the particular timeline which is set for India can be found here as well. So that correspond to the iron is in Kashmir zone. And at both Burj Home and Gufkaral, the Neolithic is succeeded by the megalithic material culture, with the iron discovered only in the Gufkaral megalithic phase. While in Baramulla district, which is particularly I'm showing you, the material culture is comparable to both Gufkaral and Burj Home, and additionally at the Dartitingum site, which is very famous and which is the heart of this metallurgical activity, that is approximately 50 kilometers northeast of the Baramulla district. Here, extensive amounts of iron slag was discovered on the sites, and the surface is conjunction with the Neolithic diaries, and that was published by Sali in 2001. So, moreover, the presence of two separate material cultures, like here, other things are also found, like stone bowls and saddle coins, that was at early historic sites in Baramulla district, that suggests they may be associated with the Iron Age material culture in this district. And 9 additionally early historic sites, which I showed you in the map, that was discovered, and two of which also include slag and saddle coins, that was discovered at 4 new sites, and one of which contained both the saddle corn and the slag in the Baramulla district. So around 1000 BC, when iron artifacts was discovered in Gufkaral, and stone bowls were discovered here with the saddle coins. They were particularly reported and discovered in Aligram Swat. So these during era of particularly when we are looking into the sites from the 6th and from the 7th, particularly 6th to 7th centuries, that was particularly published by in one more research in by done by Satterquil in 1979 to 2001. So he argued that iron metallurgy, with the introduction of the saddle coins and new pottery forms, is representative of Swat. However, the absence of the saddle coins from significant early historic sites in Kashmir is baffling, and it is also not yet apparent whether the saddle coins describes this particularly in Baramulla district, that were associated with the Iron Age material culture, or materials from two distinct civilizations in this district. So it is particularly understandable that based on the previous research that Jhelum Valley particularly played an important role, and it was the center of iron metallurgical activity. However, the type of techniques that was used to smelt the iron requires the scientific analysis, because scientific analysis that has not been done on these particularly um, uh, on particularly these samples. I was looking for an image that gives you the close up view of these samples. Might be I forget to add here. So but what you can imagine, like, this was the forgotten metal technology, because we never know who were the smelters who was doing such type of smelting in this area. Where were the market where they were just sending such type of metal, because there should be some consumption of that metal. That's why they are smelting that much metal here. So these were the forgotten metal technology of Jhelum Valley in Jammu and Kashmir area. If we are looking into Himachal Pradesh was very important in the sense of bronze making, or in the sense of iron metallurgy. So when we are looking into the bronze making, then this particularly image that is a bronze ware that was not now in India. It is now presented in British Museum collection, and that was a Kundala or Gundala waste that was found in a ruined Buddhist stupa at Kullu district in Himachal Pradesh, that is the northwest India. In 1857, at that time, there were the British rule in India, and it is traditionally dated to Shunga dynasty, because it is found from the excavation of a stupa, and that is dated around 187 to 75 BC. That is particularly known as the Shunga dynasty time, and it is now in the collection of the British Museum. And particularly this grime is you can see the artwork which was done on this bronze vase, that was very beautiful. And this gray image is showing the decoration of the chariot of that time. So particularly this Himachal Pradesh region, in this region, the Kinnaur district, which is I'm going to talk now. Kinnaur and Chamba in Himachal Pradesh is mainly known for its bronze working. As now as well, if you are going to visit that area, Chamba is very famous, which were cast around 10th to 11th century AD, using the brass, which are primarily with the alloying of copper and zinc, not with tin, not with other alloying techniques. So this is really what we you can say is strange, because when you are looking into the other bronzes of past time, we found the lead bronzes here, we found the twin bronzes here, we even found the antimonial bronzes, even the arsenical bronzes here as well, in this area. So when you are looking into the 10th to 11th century, at that time you just found the brass, the alloying technique with the copper and zinc. So the practice of casting such type of bronzes are still in vogue among some of the metal smiths of Chamba. That was particularly reported by Mr. Reddy in 1887 in his work. And it is the scenario that finds a high tin that is full of the bronze vessels from an earlier excavation, as I showed you in this bronze was, that is particularly the tin bronze, not the particularly the zinc bronze. So that this bronze vessel from the site of a Buddhist stupa that is situated in Kanjala or Gunjala village in Kullu district in Himachal Pradesh in northern India, that reported by the Bridgewood in 1880, which is now is in the collection of British Museum in London. And the surface analysis particularly the upper surface analysis of this was showing the height in content in it, and it is its shape is typically Indian, and it is almost akin to the Iron Age vessel from the Mahurjari that was reported that was published by Srinivasan in 2014. And on this was the decoration is showing a tail of Gautam Buddha, because that was very famous in that time. And this race is particularly an important example of height in bronzes in deeper Himalayas. However, the finding of height in on the bronze artifacts that is associated with the burial complex in Kinnor, and that provides new insight into the metallurgical development in trans-Himalayan region during the early centuries. And that work has been done by Garhwal University in the past years. But interestingly, the trans-Himalayan region of Himachal Pradesh, particularly the Kinnor, or you are talking about Chamba, are known for the bronzes, which are basically the brass, like the copper alloying technique with the copper and zinc, not with the tin, which are cast between 10th to 11th century in this region, and that were widely reported by the past work of Hunter or Reddy in 1997, in 1994. So since many years, the understanding on the metallurgical traditions has not been changed, and it has been opinion that the metallurgy that developed only in the early medieval age in Himachal Pradesh, and therefore there has been no attempt to find the antecedent of the bronzes of the Kinnor, so as to push the antiquity of the metallurgy of this Himachal Pradesh area, since no major work have been done by, unfortunately, by the archaeologists, or we can say like by the others, like the geologists, like if you don't have the sites, then how you are going to particularly estimate the metallurgy of the region. So no major work has been carried out on the archaeometallurgy after the work of Rady in 1997. Just a few work have been done by the Garhwal University, and however the recent finding from Lipa, that is particularly the high altitude site in Kinnor region. And this site is showing many more things like bronzes and vessels as a grave good, not with the habitational sites, because here many burials were reported, and these bronzes were found as a grave good inside the burials, and most of the cyst burial has been excavated at Lippa and Kanam in Kinnor. That was the excavation that was done by Garhwal University. Is particularly allowed us to revise the earlier view, and therefore based on it the antiquity of the metal working could be pushed back, because these burials are dated between 600 BC to 200 C. So as per the C14 dating, or you can say the OSL dates, so this village Lipa, because this metallurgical site, that was the iron smelting site that was found in Lipa village. So this Lipa village that was particularly situated on the confluence of the Kerankad and Tati stream, and that was locally called as the Pagar Garam in Poo Mandal area, because Poo Mandal is very famous in the Morangi region. And that is particularly 42 kilometers from the district Rekong, and the village Lipa is largely identified with the burial sites. And nine cyst burials have been reported from particularly in this area, and these were reported between 2013, 15, and 18 as well. So the most important findings were crucible. These are the crucibles that were found from the cave, from the burials as a grave good, and bronze bowl and bronze cup, bronze ring, bronze artifacts, iron fragment. Because Here, this site particularly is representing the iron smelting here. Not I didn't found, or I didn't read any copper smelting site in this region. So I'm sorry to say, this is the iron smelting site, but we found the remains of bronzes or the copper with the with that stupa, with the particularly the burials, the cyst burials. So even the beads made of statite and the marine and the precious stones from the burials, that was datable to 600 BC. So these particularly samples, these are showing the metallurgical activity that was happened in Kinnor region, in Lippa. And if you are looking into this Tuyere part, that is in context of it is very interesting sample to point out the northwestern flank of the hill of surrounding the village of Lipa, that is locally known the name of this site as the Kherankhad. And sorry, not Kherankhad, that is Khargang area, which is found the rich and large nodule of iron slag that is shown here. And particularly which is spread in large area here. And that is particularly a slope of a hill, that is not but might be it is because of the wind, because the wind is playing an important role in this mountain area. Even if you are looking into the Sri Lankan smelting process, there also you can see such type of furnaces there. The air is playing an important role. So might be this because of the wind, this smelting site is located in this area. So the interesting finding was this nozzle of a tear, and it is very noteworthy, and the detail has been described in the contemporary research in this time. That but there have not been no structural furnace that was found here. We found nozzle, we found the slag, we found the highly vitrified clay, but there is no remains of furnace. That is totally strange. And these remains of iron slag along with the tour has indicated some smelting activity in the past. And because these are the smelting site, but the problem is that these technologies are still forgotten here. So this is particularly the site from Himachal Pradesh. Now come to Uttarakhand. Uttarakhand was very famous for its metallurgy in the past time. And particularly my research as Manali also described that I have done this particularly work, the archaeometallurgical study of the Garhwal Himalaya. So within my research, I found many more new sites. I'm not going to discuss about all of the Garhwal area or the Kumau area. We just focus on the Chamoli area. Within Chamoli, we will focus on the Malari. Malari is a village area, and particularly Pokri. Pokri is another village in this Chamoli district. So, if you are looking into the Malari area, Malari is a small village that is situated on an altitude of 3,500 meters. It is not easy to survive here for the 365 days of a year, because 6 months there is only snow. So the villagers are going to stay here only for the few times, not for the whole year. So there are early exploration also done in this area. And with these explorations, they were just showing the burial, particularly the cave burial, that is showing the skeletal remains with the associated funerary materials. And besides these skeletal remains, there have been the pottery and particularly the metal tools, like metal tools in the form of hammer, the iron hammer, and also the axes, and even the copper beads, and particularly the bronze as well. So here I found the few mines like the Tambakhani, that was also reported by the Geological Survey of India. And there is one more mine that was situated in Girthi Ganga that was not explored by anyone. That is just only reported. And one of my friend, he just went to Girthi Ganga, and he just seen that mine, and local villagers that was saying like that this mine was exploited in the past time. So there is one more mine here. Why I'm discussing, because when I studied my samples here that was found from Malari cave burials, those samples were not, most of the samples that were not particularly matched with this Tambakhani mine, which is particularly in this region. As you can see, this the mine is on very high altitude and on a very risky zone, so it's very difficult to visit this mine. So in 2001, a large repertory of the grave goods, that is including the number of iron arrowheads and knives, that was found in the cave burials, and the other metal tools, that was including the shapes of one copper, tin, bronze bowl, and having particularly, it's not a very small, it's a big bowl. So many more things, that even the interesting thing is that here a gold mask also found, and the gold pendant also reported from these cave burials. So we are not discussing about the gold today, so I will not focus more about the gold. But unlike the metallurgical development that was happened in Himachal Pradesh, or in Jammu Kashmir region, the metallurgical development in lesser Himalayan region, the early metallurgical advancement in the trans-Himalayan region is poorly invested, because here only two sites were reported in this village, and this site I found in 2017. This site that was in particularly the farming site area, and there is one more site which you found in the right side of the village, that was also reported by GSI. So these two sites are just showing the early metallurgical activity of the copper smelting, and both are different from each other. And here I reported the furnace remains of the copper smelting, but from this site, which is in the agricultural field, I just found a slag and a part of Tuyere, and nothing else. But the another site which is nearby in this area, here I found the slag, even the furnace remains. So, but those sites and the smelting process, that are quite different from each other. So Malari is the only archaeological site in Niti Valley that was there particularly found this metallurgical activities. And particularly the Honeyagger copper mine, that was very important in this region, and that is showing particularly the copper was particularly extracted from there, but smelted in the Malari region. And the question is that this Honeyagger mine, that is not very close to Malari village, so they are just taking the copper from that area, and they are going to do the metallurgical activity in this area. That is quite strange, but it can be true, because for copper smelting you need the wood for making the temperature. So might be Malari was the center where particularly the woods are available, that is known. And when you are living in the upper area, you have to take the wood from the Malari area. So these are particularly the questions. However, what is more important to add here, that for the first time two copper smelting sites has been explored, and particularly which are located on the west and north of the Malari village, and the bulk chemical analysis that has been done by me in the form of XRD, XRF, and SEM, that is showing that these activities is having more flux that was added at the time of smelting operation. And as other studies in other areas that were showing like they were not using such type of flux for smelting the copper. So we are not going to more scientific analysis, because I need to complete this within the time. So this is the another site which is in the left hand side of the village. This is showing this type of copper slag, and this is particularly situated in the agricultural land. These are the Kashmir tier. Mistakenly, I just pasted it here. These are the tier that was found in Jhelum Valley area, and these were reported from the iron smelting site from Kashmir. Now, another site that is Pokhari. Pokhari is very famous. But when you are comparing with the Malari, because the settlers of the Malari were well recognized, those copper mines for extracting the smelting the copper, although the iron metallurgy and the gold work, because iron samples also found in the form of many tools, and gold, as I told you, found in the form of the mask, like the ornaments, like in the form of the necklace or the pendant, that also developed at Metlari along with the copper metallurgy as a range of the copper and iron tools and the other gold ornaments, as well, that was investigated from the burial context. So Malari, that was the larger issue of the metallurgical development in this region, has not been investigated by any worker so far. So therefore, this work also fills the gap by investigating the forgotten metallurgical development or the metallurgical traditions and the techniques in this particularly Himalayan region, which was developed by the people that was practicing these burial cultures as well. So however, the entire metallurgical cycle through which the artifacts has been made, that is still not known, because there I only found the copper metallurgical site, no, not the iron metallurgical site. So another site which is situated in Garhwal region, that was is Pokhari, and Pokhari has been mentioned mainly as an old working site, but taking into the consideration that spread of the slag in an area that is covering one more, like particularly the 1 square kilometer area, because this is a steep slope of a mount, and there is just only the slag. So this mount is particularly made of slag. So this slope of a hill couples with the many remains of the fragments of furnace. This is you can see the fragment of furnace. Even you can see the slipping like if your hearth is going to break, then what you are doing, you are just putting some new mud on it, and you are just making it a slip. So you can see the slipping part also, the samples of the furnace which I found here. So these are the highly vitrified tier or furnace samples, and the analytical results that confirms that slag mainly produced by the chalcopyrite charge. And the thing is that why this smelting site was situated in the site that was the mining site that was very close to each other, because mining is here and the smelting site is here. So that's why happened in this site, and the copper might be in there also. So
Um, I think Madam has gone offline due to some problem.
Yes, you just contact her. I think she'll join soon.
Yes, yes. There might be some problem.
Yes. I request all the audience to uh, stay live with us. Ma'am will join soon. She has some technical problem. She'll join us soon.
Yeah, ma'am will join in a second. There was
Yes.
some problem with the connectivity. Please inform them about tomorrow's lecture until then.
Yes. I just shared the brochure also.
Yeah.
Yes. Is it visible?
Not yet. Yeah, it was good.
Yes. So tomorrow, on fifth day of Itihasa Saptaha, uh, we are conducting lecture on Gandhar art, a blend of Greco-Roman and Indian elements. And tomorrow's our resource person is Dr. Vinay Kumar sir, Assistant Professor, Department of Ancient Indian History, Culture and Archaeology, Banaras Hindu University, Varanasi. The lecture will start at 7 p.m. So please join us in the same manner how you joined today. Uh, Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nidhi. Ma'am is about to join, I am sure.
Yes.
Also, we had an announcement to make about Sanskriti.
Yes. We are extending the dates. Yes.
Actually, today was the last date for submitting articles, but some of our friends and colleagues have requested us to extend the date as some of them are not able to submit the papers by today. So I think another week we
Yes.
can extend the date for one more week. If anybody wants to send any papers, please send within the next week. So that will be 17th.
Yeah.
Yeah, ma'am is trying to reconnect.
Yes.
Just need a few more seconds. Professor R.M. Shadaksharaya sir has written that it's a good presentation. We also have uh, Dr. T.S. Ravishankar sir, Dr. S.K. Aruni sir, Dr. Vinay Kumar sir, Dr. S.Y. Somshekhar sir, and Professor Usha Devi ma'am. All of them are viewing the lecture. So welcome you all. We also have some other research scholars and just a second, ma'am is back.
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
so sorry. I was disconnected due to my Wi-Fi fault. I'm so sorry. I hope now my
Not an
PPT
issue.
is visible.
Yes, ma'am, it's visible. No
Yeah.
problem.
So I was talking about particularly the Pokhari site, Pokhari in Uttarakhand Himalayan region, and here the highly advanced metallurgy was reported by me in 2016, and after that I reported many more activities here as well. So this production which was happening here, that was a center from where the metal have been transported to other distinct region and other distinct location in this particularly area, because if they are doing such type of extensive smelting, then must be they are transporting the metal tools or the ingots, the metal ingots, to other adjoining region where they have the demand of their copper metal. So while the field work of mine, I investigated the slag deposit would only tell us about its area of spread, and it is difficult to say like how such a large quantity of slag has been produced in this particularly the Pokhari region. And particularly but these studies or these new findings interest having an interesting aspect which was particularly observed, that the huge amount of slag in the different morphology that was found here, and this morphology is showing a chain process, or you can say the extracting copper in very advanced phase in India. And that is standardizing the metallurgical process that must have been performed by the smelters of Malari. And this study is particularly happened for the first time, that was undertook the metallurgical and the physical and the chemical analysis in order to classify the slag group, to reconstruct the extractive chain metallurgy. This chain operation from the raw copper to metal, to particularly the produced metal, by which the huge amount of slag has been produced, as I showed you in the past picture. And the most significant aspect of this slag at Pokhari is that it is a typical form that is called as flat slag, as you can see in this picture, which is the copper smelting slag and also rich in iron as well. Because when you are going to smelt the copper, then the slag which you form after producing the copper metal, then it is rich in iron. And interestingly, the flat slag is produced of the solidification of the melt, which is more enriched with iron and significantly higher than in the other slag pieces, which is also very interesting in the study, like that study has been reported for the first time from the Garhwal Himalayan region. And it is not particularly the certain like whether such flat slag has been reported elsewhere in India, because I read so many papers, I read so many researches, but no research is particularly showing this flat slag metallurgy in India. So this, as far as my knowledge, this highly advanced flat slag metallurgy was reported only in this Garhwal Himalayan region by me. And in view of this important discovery, it would be equally potent to describe the entire process through which such flat slag has been produced, and that is having a greater implication in understanding the metallurgical advancement during the early medieval period of the Garhwal Himalaya. And the first produce, particularly which you can see here or in this image, the first produce is particularly known as the coarse slag, because it is very rough. It is not looking as good as you can see this flat slag is looking. And in the second process, what you can see, this is the first processed slag, and within the second process you can see the massive slag, which is might be flat, might not be flat, but it is having the small grains of the quartz as a flux. And the first processed slag having the large grains of the quartz grains as a flux. So the last or the third process of this chain operation, there are many more steps as well, but here in India only three processed slag I found. The third one is known as the flat slag after the production of this slag. So this is the flat slag, and this is the last produced slag, or this is also known as the plateau slag, or you can say the thali shape, which is particularly flowing on the melted metal. So interestingly, the parallel to such metallurgical practices has been found in Europe, because first time this flat slag was reported in Europe, and as this type of slag has also been found in Alps region in Europe and West Mexico, where the smelting site was found, and all these European sites dates to the early Bronze Age. But unfortunately, I don't have the clear chronology of this site, because this site was the upper layer of this site was disturbed in building the government hospital. So in Asia, there is one more site was found that was in Laos in Thailand, and this is the second site which is found in India. And the flat slag is different in the chemical composition, and we are not going to talk about the chemical composition of this flat slag. But interestingly, inside this slag. So what they were doing, they were crushing the slag again for taking the metal pills, and they are smelting again these slags, so that they can extract the copper metal as much as they can. And they are in the second process, they are again crushing the slag, and they are smelting it again. Then you have the third processed slag, which is having very tiny metal pills that you cannot see by the nude eyes. So these type of extracting the copper metals as much as they are just taking from the slag, or you can see say like they can extract from the recycling of the slag. So on the basis of the slag amount, it can be say that Pokhari was the main hub of the copper production at a time, but its dates are not available now to define its chronology. But in view of another flat slag that was found from Thailand, Asia, it can be said that this type of metallurgy was well known during the first millennium BC in Garhwal region. So for the conclusion, based on the particular the technological responses, that is geological constraints show a clear pattern in the industrial scale production in the areas of the riverine valley like the Jhelum Valley area, as well as in Himalaya. So even though there are no dramatic changes in the production that was happened here, and the fine tuning of the similar process to answer the socio-economic dilemma, because if that much type of smelting activities are happening, then definitely there is the socio-economic requirements of the different periods that can be observed throughout this analytical work. So these remains which I showed you today can be create a picture of the forgotten metallurgical activities that happened in the past in this Himalayan region, and it can be reframed that not only the Kashmir and Himachal Pradesh region, but also Garhwal or Uttarakhand area was very rich in copper and iron working in a past time, and all this activity plays a significant role in economic development in this area. So conclusively, we can say based on this work, it may be said that Himalaya was not merely the regions for procuring ores as generally understood, like it was understood in all the researches, but rather it was a very active metallurgical center of ancient times that parallels to other metallurgical centers in India. So thank you so much for having patience. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, ma'am. It was a very informative and novel lecture for us because we have not studied much about the history or prehistory of the Himalayan region in our universities, and also about so many concepts about metallurgy. We have not studied such in such depth. So this was something very new and very interesting for us. Also, we had no idea that Himalayan region was such a important center for metallurgical activity during prehistoric and historic times. So thank you for shedding light on that. And if any of the audience members have any question, you can put it in the comment section, and we will get answers for you. We'll have some a short question and answer session. Ma'am, I
I
have.
think Shadaksharay sir has a question, I guess.
Yes, yes. Professor R.M. Shadaksharaya sir has asked a question. He says, any religious metal objects found in excavated megalithic sites in the region? Are there any religious?
As per my knowledge, there is no release. It's only that bronze vessel which I showed you that was preserved in British Museum. Apart from that, there is no religious vessel or tool or something else was found there.
Yes, ma'am. I have a couple of questions. One
Sure,
is,
sure.
ma'am, you said that there were also gold ornaments and different like gold beads, etc., found there. So my question is there a gold mine nearby, or was gold smelting done there, or maybe it was taken from somewhere else?
Because as per the research that was happened in the past time, there is no gold mining, but it is mentioned in Mahabharatas about the gold grains that was a mythical story, but we can quote it as well. That was quoted. In Mahabharata. So we can say, yeah, there is the gold mining, like they are taking the grains from the river, like the small grains of the gold from the river, and they are just smelting it as the form that they want. So if you are saying like, is there is any gold mine? I don't think so, because as per my knowledge in Garhwal area as well as in Himachal Pradesh, there is no gold mine. So might
Yes,
be
ma'am.
they are exporting gold from other side and they are making the gold ornaments.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. And one more question is the tuwares that you mentioned about. What material were they made of? Like, are they made of terracotta or metal itself?
When you are looking like the crucibles that were reported from this area, that was particularly made of the kaolinite, but the tour they were just using the local clay for, like from Pokori, they just using the local clay, not they are using the some specific clay for making such type of tour or furnaces.
Thank you, ma'am. Nidhi,
Yes, ma'am, I have two questions actually. Ma'am, was it convenient or for them to use copper for the environment where they stayed? Is there any such kind of reason?
Yes, very good question, Nidhi, because the thing is that, as I mentioned when I was presenting the Malari site, like I told you, the Girthi Ganga area, that was quite difficult to explore because when you are talking about the mining area, that is not adjoined with any site. Like you have because I'm just talking about the present view. About the past view, I have no idea, like it was adjoined with the other mountains or not. But it's quite difficult, like taking the raw metal from that area and doing the smelting activities in Malari. So it was quite difficult for the past smelters as well. But for Pokhri, it was very easy because the malachite mine that was found in this area, that is very nearby. So that's why might be it was the smelting hub, and it was very convenient for them as well for us doing such type of activity in this region.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Ma'am, are there any researches on the uh, housing settlements of people in Himalayan regions or Gadwal region?
Yeah, this is very see, thank you for asking, because my most of the audience were thinking about the habitational site as well. But unfortunately from Malari, unfortunately from Lippa, or in the Kinnaur region, Garhwal University does not reported any habitational site. Even in my survey in Malari area, I didn't found any habitational site in this area. So this is unfortunate, but this is the bitter truth, that was we don't have any habitational site in this region.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. I also wanted to ask one more thing. Apart from quartz, any other kind of flux was used for purification of these metals?
In this region, only quartz was used for smelting as a flux, because quartz is very good for increasing the temperature.
Yes, ma'am.
That's why they were using the quartz. And most of the time, if you read more, most of the time the mine, the raw mine, the raw sample of mine or metal, that already have the quartz, but you have to add the quartz as a flux material,
Proportion.
because most of the time in Africa as well, in the iron smelting, they were just using the quartz. So quartz were very famous and for using as a flux material.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. If anyone has any other questions, uh, kindly leave them in the comment section. Ma'am, was recycling of metal common in those days? Like, if metal, old metal objects, if they were broken, were they also used in recycling?
For metal, I didn't found any remains, but the Garhwal University in their excavations, they found particularly the patching, or what we can say, like the repairing technique on the ceramics by using the metal. Yeah, this is
That's
very different, that was found, and these type of samples that was preserved in the Garhwal Museum as well.
that's really interesting, ma'am. Using metal to repair ceramics is something we have not seen much.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, ma'am. There's one question from Gautam Jantkal, sir. What could be the source for the large amount of silver used for making punchmark coins in the Janapada period? Like from where?
For source, I cannot say, because I'm so sorry, because I didn't read such type of things. So I just read about copper and iron and gold, because my study have the limitations with the Himalayas. So I didn't read about the sources from where they are just taking the silver for producing such type of coins.
Thank you, ma'am. So I request the viewers, if you have any further questions, later on you can put it in the comment section and we'll get your answers afterwards. But since we have reached the end of our time, and we have to come to the end of this lecture also, and I think, ma'am, do you have any words for us? Any words for youngsters like us?
Yeah, thank you so much, Manali and Nidhi, for introducing such type of lecture series, because there are many more interesting topic which was happened earlier and the upcoming as well. So this is the good way, like you are just enhancing the knowledge of such type of work also happening in this time zone for updating the knowledge of the youngsters as well. So thank you so much for creating such type of platform and particularly creating such type of events. And this is the good thing, like Itihas Sampada is doing such type of things, so this is very great. And you guys are doing very hard work I can see the group which you have created for the particularly this history enthusiasm. So this is really great. Thank you so much. You guys are doing very well. So all the best for my side for the future of you guys, because you are just the youngsters and you are doing such type of creativity and in a very extensive scale. So all the very best.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank
Your
you so much.
appreciation and encouragement means a lot. We have come to the end of the lecture. Just wanted to read a few comments. Uh, there is a comment from Shadak Sharaya sir. He says, good presentation. And Gautam Jantkal sir has written informative talk. Sorry. Thank you, ma'am. And Professor Usha Devi madam has also written that it is a very interesting topic. So I think it was a very successful lecture, and I now request Ms. Nidhi Katti to propose the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Manali. Thank you so much. Ma'am, really, it was a very informative lecture. And after listening to you, I wish that our history textbooks should contain some information about Himalayan regions, history, and metallurgical excavations, because till today I was unaware of it. Being a history student, I was unaware of it, and the credit goes to you. You enlightened us and all our audience. So thank you so much, ma'am, for giving this beautiful talk on the platform of history enthusiasts. Thank you so much, ma'am. And
Thank you so
I
much,
also
Manali and Nidhi, for inviting me, because this is really great. And thank you so much, the listeners, for creating such a good scenario. So thank you so much.
Just a second, Nidhi.
yes.
Professor Dr. T.S. Ravi Shankar sir has asked a question. For early coinage, which metal they preferred?
As per as my knowledge, that they prefer like Ahad coins or Punchmark coins. They prefer just the silver metal, and after that, gold and copper they adopted.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, Nidhi, you can carry on.
Yes. So I wish that we can conduct more such lectures with ma'am, which can enlighten us and as well as our audience. Ma'am, we need your guidance and support for the history enthusiast group. And thank you so much, ma'am, for conducting this lecture. Thank you so much. And I also thank all the audience who supported us throughout this lecture and who were active throughout this lecture. And please join us for tomorrow's lecture also. And I also thank co-host of this session, Miss Manali Momaya, and for being such a wonderful host. Thank you so much.
Thank you to Nidhi for being a wonderful host. And before signing off, I just want once again to remind you all about tomorrow's lecture. Tomorrow's lecture will be given by Dr. Vinay Kumar. He's Assistant Professor, Department of Ancient History, Culture and Archaeology, Banaras Hindu University, Varanasi. And he will be talking on the topic of Gandhara art, a blend of Greco-Roman and Indian elements. It is a very interesting topic, so don't miss it. See you tomorrow at 7 p.m. Uh, have a nice, sorry, good night. Bye.
Thank you so much.